on today's Into Your Head podcast number 694, an Existentialist Cat. Hello. Into your head, into your head, into your head, into your head, into your head. I've always been a great believer in the dictum, ask not what your country can do for you, ask instead. Ask instead. That's what you do. Just ask. No, ask not. Oh no, that's not right. I should say, don't ask not what your country can do for you. Ask instead. Full stop. If I'd said that, it would have made sense. Made sense. Don't not ask what your country can do for you. Instead, ask, which is the opposite of not asking. I think you'll find if you were to look that up is there such a thing as an opposites dictionary, like a thesaurus, except it's for opposites? I don't know. It's probably, would that be the opposite of a thesaurus? I don't know. Probably would. You'd have to look one up to find out. That's a little joke for you. People love telling jokes about thesauruses. You can't go on Twitter for more than 10 minutes without coming across some fella with some quip about thesaurus. He said, I'm looking for my thesaurus, my dictionary of synonyms, I can't think of any other words because I haven't found my thesaurus. And you're supposed to laugh at that and retweet it. You're supposed to go LOL, which means laugh out loud. Laugh out loud. Yeah, LOL out loud. And then you went to the ATM machine and you said, I wonder what the M in ATM machine stands for. And nobody answers you because you can't just stand at an ATM in the convenience store and ask questions of the world around you. Because for one thing, you're usually facing a wall when you're doing that. And people aren't going to know that you're talking to them. That's why we have eyes. We look at people to indicate that we're addressing them. You don't just stand in the middle of the road and shout up at the sky and expect people to know that you're talking to them. Unless, of course, you're preaching to the world in general. You want everyone within earshot to hear you, which I suppose is fine. Although they're going to look at you on you as a lunatic if you do that, despite most of the passers-by having no psychological or psychiatric qualifications whatsoever. They will judge you to be a lunatic, and they'll say, that fella's a lunatic. He's a lunatic. He's like the sort of fella you'd find barking at the moon. Although why would you not do? What's wrong with barking? I suppose it's if you're not a dog. I suppose it's abnormal. Or who's normal in this? Are you normal? You're probably not. I'm not normal. Who the fuck? If less than 50% of the world are normal, which this survey that I've done just now would suggest, I've surveyed you and me, and we're both not normal. That's 100% abnormality rate. So if we're even if we take it as this is only 50% normality or less, then that means the majority of people are not normal, which means the norm is to be abnormal, which makes a mockery of the whole system. That's why I put no sway in language or anything else. I don't put any sway in anything. Nothing has any credibility in it, especially none of this. Especially when you come on here and you talk about it like this, you take away more credibility. So it's in the minus credibility now. You make it discredible or incredible, I suppose, if you want to use that word, which I don't. I don't like the word incredible. People abuse us. They'll say, look at this is incredible. And they don't seem to realise that when you call something incredible, you're saying it has no credibility, which is not a compliment, it's a bad thing. So stop going around calling good things incredible, because you're making a mockery of yourself, which I suppose is fine. You're allowed to mock yourself. Self-deprecation is not a bad thing. It's called modesty. A bit of modesty would wouldn't kill anyone. Well, maybe it would, I don't know. If you're overly modest and you say, oh, I deserve to be executed, and then you put yourself forward to the police and the judiciary system in some country that executes people, then you might end up getting executed. Although to do so, you'd have to fake a crime that you haven't committed, by in which case you'd be guilty of lying to the courts and the judiciary system and the police, in which case you might deserve punishment then, but maybe not execution. So you're still being modest. You're making yourself out to be even more evil than you are. That's called modesty in my book. Hold on, do I have a book here? Oh, I have a book here. I have a book right here, I'm using it as a paperweight to hold down my bank statements. Wacky Wednesday by Dr. Seuss. Let's have a look at this now. Let's have a look at the page something. There's no page numbers in here. Presumably it's aimed at preschool children who haven't yet learned how to count, because the parents put more priority into learning how to read words and look at pictures. Only 20 things more will be wacky, he said. Just find them and then you can go back to bed. I've just read 2 pages of a book to you. That's 2 pages of a book. Hold on. And you wonder why your kids grow up illiterate, because 2 pages of a book has 5 words on it, and they think, oh look, I've learned to read now. And then you give them a proper book like Stephen King's Unexpedited The Stand, which, if I remember rightly, is approximately 14,500 pages of small print. You give them back that and they say, oh, I can't look at this. Do you have one with pictures and less words? And you say, no, but I have an audiobook version. And they'll say, does the audiobook have pictures? And you say no, and they'll say, oh, I can't read an audiobook that has no pictures. That's just too difficult for me. And you say, but it's just a fella reading the book to you. And you say, I know, but that's no good. You need the pictures. And that's why they invented movies. They said, oh, I can't read Harry Potter. I need a movie version with a different fella playing Harry Potter. And the movie industry said, oh, we can oblige. Here's a movie. Here's a fellow with a beard who's the headmaster. Here's a fellow with goggles on him who's apparently a witch. Here's some other characters, some of who will die and some of whom won't. And then stuff happens and things happen and stuff over the course of 8 movies, and then they all die and the great night is had by all. Note to self, insert a segment here that isn't too creatures or people walk into a bar story, because the next segment now is going to be another of those stories, and you don't want 2 in a row. It's going to sound stupid, so insert something. I suppose you could just insert this thing that you're recording now, this note to self, in which case I should add an addendum to this note to self that you don't need to add anything else in here. If this note to self goes on long enough and turns into a segment, which remains to be seen. We'll do our best, or at least I will. I don't know whether you, the me of the future, will do. If you, the me of the future, doesn't need to do your best if I achieve what I set out to do here. So in which case this note will be mute. It will be of no unnecessary. Absolutely fantastic. Isn't it absolutely fantastic? I can do this. I can do a favour for the me of the future. He never does anything for me, but that's understandable because he hasn't got time travel. So hopefully someday you would think that there's a me further enough into the future that can help me via time travel, although maybe I die before that happens, in which case that's a pain in the arse. I want to live long enough to see time travel. I don't want to be fucking dead before all these. Still haven't had the flying cars thing. I have no flying cars, and even if they had, I wouldn't be allowed to drive them until they come up with some sort of a treatment for my poor eyesight, unless they change the licensing laws. Although they haven't. Do they have licensing laws for flying cars yet. I don't know, but you can be damn sure the hell is Christ that if they do bring in flying cars, the government will put their oar in and regulate it. They'll say, oh, you can't be flying around in cars in the sky over people's heads unless you take a driving test. And you can be damn sure the Christ as hell that it won't be your bog standard driving test either. No, they'll want to test your flying skills and your landing skills, and they'll expect you to be able to look around. How the fucking hell are indicators and roundabouts going to work in the air? There's a question for you. We're going to have spherical roundabouts, although now that you mention it, there's a big interchange up in North County Kildare that has a work of art in the roundabout that consists of a sphere. It's a giant sphere, and it's got drawings of road markings all over it. It's considered art. Maybe that would be a good template for the first 3D roundabout to put in the air. I don't know. They'd be damn sure the hell is Christ that's not what they were thinking when they created it, though. What they were thinking was that when you get your road projects funded by the EU, there's a law that says you have to spend a certain percentage on artwork and jam that into the middle of your roundabouts or at the side of your motorways. That's all they were thinking there. So we will slap together a bit of art here and put it here, and that'll release us from our obligation. Well, not release us from our obligations. It'll fulfill our obligations, so we won't have to worry about those, and we'll get our money. That's what Brussels does now. It bribes people into creating crap art. Art is full of crap. They should be bribing these people into making podcasts instead of. I wonder, could you get away with that? Not get away with it because it's not a bad thing. It's not like you're committing a crime. But next time they're building a motorway, I would suggest that instead of using the art funding to build a stupid structure in the middle of the roundabout, use it to create podcasts and broadcast them through low frequency FM signals available to anyone who uses the road. Have a 24-hour. You'd only need a couple of hours of podcasts, and put them up there and make them available as art for any drivers using the road who have lateral thinking. That's what's needed here. A bit of lateral thinking. That's 4 minutes now, this segment I created. So to me of the future, I've done you a favour here. Hope you're grateful. You probably are, because you're me. If I was you, I'd be grateful. I will be you shortly. I'd say about half an hour from now when I'm editing this, I'll be you, the you of the future. Hope you're well. You probably are. You're probably coming down off your caffeine buzz around now, although you had quite a good bit, so you'll probably be buzzed up for the rest of the day. Hopefully you'll sleep tonight, but either way you can be satisfied because you've made another podcast, your third one of the week, which makes up for the shortage of material last week when you weren't in the mood. So never let it be said that you don't think about your listeners and giving them enough content over the course of time that evens out to a reasonable amount. Isn't that absolutely fantastic? That's public service broadcasting at its best, I can tell you. And you won't have the TV licensing people calling round to you at some ungodly hour saying, hello, do you have a TV license? No, because you don't need a TV license to listen to a podcast. At least you don't yet. You probably will in future, because they're changing the system where everyone's going to have to pay a broadcasting tax whether they listen to it or not. That's the next thing now. Hopefully I'll get a cut of it, although I probably won't. I'm just saying hopefully, as in I'd like to hope that I win the lotto today either, but that's not going to happen because I haven't bought a fucking ticket, which I suppose is on me when you think about it. It's all my fault. Blame, it's all me, all my fault. It's all my fault. It's not the lotto's fault. It's not the chance's fault. No, it's my fault for not buying a fucking ticket. Well, I've better things to do than buy a fucking ticket. There's more to life than buying fucking tickets, you know. You can sit around all day buying tickets, or you can go and do something. Be proactive in doing something, creating something, and adding to what's in the world instead of waiting for a chance to come by and give you 98 million euros on the Euro Millions. Although that wouldn't be bad now that I think about it. I haven't really time to think about it though. I'm in the middle of this. I'm in the middle of something here. Anyway, on with the show.
Support the podcastual arts at no cost to you, just by sending Neal money. Visit intoyourhead.com and click on the tip jar to make a once-off donation. Intoyourhead.com.
Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener. Email studio@intoyourhead.com.
studio@intoyourhead.com.
Matchstick Cats! Matchstick Cats! Matchstick Cats! Matchstick Cats and stuff!
Are you a cat? Or do you know somebody who might be? Then tell yourself about Matchstick Cats, Neal's webcomic. Brand new episodes at intoyourhead.com.
intoyourhead.com.
Two existentialists walk into a bar. One of the existentialists goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please?" And the man behind the bar says, "Why are you talking so slowly?" And the existentialist says, "Because I'm trying to conduct an internet search for a definition of existentialism as I say this, because frankly I don't know what I've let myself in for. I just decided to do a two me's walk into a bar story, but I didn't know what a me was. So frankly the narrator has to look this up. Let's see. Existentialism is a term applied to the work of a number of late 19th and 20th century philosophers who, despite profound doctrinal differences, share the belief that philosophical thinking begins with the human subject, not merely the thinking." So that's a load of crap. Fuck this shit. Two cats walk into a bar. Let's do this more traditional one. Two cats walk into a bar. One of the cats goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, I'm an existentialist cat." And the man behind the bar says, "No, you're not." And the cat says, "Yes, I am." And the barman says, "No, you're not. Believe me, you're not, because you're going to regret it if you go down this path, because you don't know what existentialism is, and you can't even work up enough interest to stick with a two existentialists walk into a bar. So how do you think that you can't even pronounce it properly, an extensionalistic cat is going to do any better?" And the cat says, because of the cat element, it's still an existentialist, but it's also a cat. So it's got an extra dimension to the character. And the man behind the bar says, "I suppose you have a point there. Speaking of which, what can I get you?" And the existentialist cat says, "I have a pint of your finest Guinness, please. And can I have a look at your laptop so I can look up what existentialism is?" And the man behind the bar says, "Yes and no. I'll get you your pint now, or in the next minute or two, because these things aren't instant. I know you MTV generation want your Guinness poured straight away, but that's not physically possible unless I make a hames of it. No, you can't use my laptop. No offense, but you can't be. Last time I had a laptop out in my first, when was it? My first bachelor pad in 2004. I took out a laptop and poured a pint of Guinness and spilled a pint of Guinness over the laptop and killed the laptop. So no, I'm not taking out my frigging laptop on the bar counter in a place that's by definition full of pints of Guinness." And the cat says, "I suppose you have a legitimate concern there." Notice I didn't say you have a point there, because that's getting a bit old. And the man behind the bar says, "I did notice that, yes, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Because as they say, a change is as good as a rest. A change, if you have a change there and you have a rest over there and you look at the two, they're not identical. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're identical. I'm just saying one is as good as the other. A change is as good as a rest." Notice I didn't say a rest is as good as a change, because people already know that a rest is as good as a change. That's why you say a change is as good as a rest, because people are yet to remain to be convinced that a change is as good as a rest. They're already of the opinion that a rest is as good as a change. That's why you put it that way. And the cat said, "Oh, I never thought about it like that. That's very profound." And the man behind the bar says, indeed it is, indeed it is. Now, how does this fit in with your existentialism? And the cat says, haven't a fucking clue. I read the first paragraph of the Wikipedia entry, didn't understand a word of it. Something about philosophy, about the self rather than the philosophy or something. No idea. Didn't understand. No, couldn't be. Well, not that I'm not capable of understanding it. I just couldn't work up enough interest to stick with it and do further research. And the man behind the bar says, I understand. There's more to life than learning things. Acquiring knowledge is not the be-all and end-all. We've got knowledge banks built up now. We've got the likes of archive.org. We've got books and libraries everywhere that are being put into digital format. We don't need to learn stuff anymore. The information's there at our fingertips. Unless, of course, it's on a bar. Because I can't be putting information at your fingertips here, because your fingertips might have liquid on them that could damage my laptop keyboard. And the cat says, I understand. And the man behind the bar says, I understand too. And the cat says, well, I'm glad we were both agreed on the fact that we understand. All that could go wrong now is if a couple of people came in here and argued that we didn't understand, in which case we'd have a non-consensus thing going on. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's not a good debate is healthy. I'm as in favour of a good debate as the next man and the next cat, rather, because I'm a cat. And the man behind the bar says, "You are indeed," or is about to jump in and correct you there. You are a cat. You can't say the next man. You can say the man, but you can't say the next man because that implies that you're a man. Although you're a man cat, maybe. And the cat says, "I am indeed. How did you know?" Because it's hard to tell in a cat. And the man behind the bar says, "Well, I didn't know for a fact, but I made an educated guess from your appearance." And the cat says, "Oh, well done. Well, are you a cat person yourself?" And the man behind the bar says, No, I'm just a bog standard human person." And the cat says, "No, I mean, are you into cats?" And the barman says, "Are you coming on to me?" And the cat says, "No, I'm not fucking coming on to you. Jesus Christ." And the man behind the bar says, Okay, calm down. Don't be getting your paws in a twist. Don't be getting your tail tangled up in your admittedly hard to see, but I assume it's there because I assume that you're a male cat penis." And then the cat says, "Is that point ready yet?" And the man behind the bar says, "Oh, here we go. Here's your point." And the cat says, "Thank you very much." And the man behind the bar says, "Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome indeed. You're as welcome as be damned. As welcome as be damned." And the cat says, "I'm not sure that's a good thing. Being be damned is not good. Does that not mean being sentenced to hell, being consigned to hell for eternity?" And the man behind the bar says, "I didn't say you're being consigned to hell for eternity. I didn't say you're being be damned. I'm not be damning you. I'm saying you're as welcome as be damned, meaning the extremity of my welcome is as extreme as the extremity of damning you to hell, but it's extreme in a different direction. I could say, for example, that America is 3,000 miles over there, and that Morocco is as far away as that. But it's in a different direction. Doesn't mean I'm comparing it to the direction. I can say you're as welcome as be damned. It doesn't mean I'm pointing you towards hell. It just means it's the same measurement of distance, of extremity. It's just not extremity in the same direction. If you get my gist." And the cat says, I think I do. I'm learning a lot here, I must say. Thank you very much. I probably should tip you very well tonight." And the man behind the bar says, "Oh, that's not for me to say. That's not for me to say, although you should, but that's not for me to say." And the cat says, "Oh, I see what you did there. You did a load of modesty and then you added in the middle that you should. It's like, what would you call it? I don't know. You tell me." "Oh, no, don't tell me, because then I'll have to tip you even more. I am on a budget here. I'm only a cat. I'm a mere cat." And the man behind the bar says, "You don't look like a mere cat. You look like a standard domestic cat. People are a bit obsessed with meerkats nowadays. For the last 3 or 4 years, there's been an ad running every 5 minutes on daytime television for some insurance comparison website, and they have a meerkat on it as a puppet. Not a real meerkat, it's a mere puppet of a meerkat. Not that there's, I like to always say, there's nothing mere about a cat. A cat is a fantastic creature, and to call it a meerkat is ridiculous. For of course some gobshite will come in and say it's not that kind of a meerkat, it's meercat, or is it kat? I'm not sure. I might be confusing it with the other puppet, DJ Cat, who was on Sky 1 in the 1990s. He was a proper cat, except he wasn't, because he was a puppet, although some would argue he was even better than a cat in that regard, because he was manned by a human being, so he had a lot of the characteristics of a cat, but also the advantage of having an entertaining human behind him. Although this was aimed at children, it wasn't really for me, so I can't really didn't really get much benefit out of it, but I'm sure lots of people enjoy it because it was on for several years, so it must have, unless there was just some law where you have to provide children's entertainment for a certain number of hours a day or you lose your license, although I find that hard to believe because there was a satellite television station and they're not as well controlled in terms of their public service remit as other. My board probably is getting a bit boring, a bit dull. Very sorry that not everything in the world, not every minute of every day is filled up with exciting and interesting stuff. You have to take the good with the bad, or else how would you know? How would you know if something is exciting? If it's exciting all the time, how would you know? You have to have peaks and troughs, or maybe not troughs, but points where it goes down to just zero and then goes up. Otherwise, there's no up. If everything is up at the top, then it's all just level and you don't get the benefit. Anyway, on with the show. And the cat says, what show? And the man behind the bar says, the show that I'm putting on for you here, the big long conversation we've been having for the last, what is it now? Let's see, I'd say about 10 or 11 minutes. What the hell? I wasn't just pouring you a pint here. I've been keeping you stimulated and entertained for several minutes. That's what I've been doing. If that's not a show, I don't know what is. And the cat says, I suppose. Have you ever considered getting in entertainers, maybe a band or a local comedian or something, so that you can concentrate on your bar work while they do the show? And the man behind the bar says, what's your point here? Are you suggesting I'm not capable of keeping up a show? And the cat says, no, I'm not suggesting anything at all. It's just wondering. Jesus Christ, excuse me for having a bit of curiosity. And the man behind the bar says, I think you should leave now. And the cat says, fair enough. Would you like a tip? And the man behind the bar says, that would be inappropriate for me to say. And the cat says, oh, good, and leaves.